This is the Soul Expansion Soundboard, an hour of honest conversations and straightforward advice on spiritual growth, limitless creation, and enlightened evolution, with two certified spiritual coaches and soulpreneurs who understand what it's like to navigate spiritual growth in an ever-changing world. You'll be part of illuminating discussions featuring spirituality, self-development, inner healing, manifesting, and expansive creation of the abundant life you truly deserve. Now, here are your hosts, Roz Kincaid and Julian Hill.
Hey, everybody. Hi, welcome on in. Welcome to this week's episode of the Soul Expansion Soundboard. Happy Friday, y'all. I'm Roz Kincaid, the intuitive soul healer, and I help women of color, women of faith as well, to step into their power, believe in who they are, take their power back, be authentic, and stop hiding who you are and apologizing for it. And of course, today with me, I have my gracious co-host, actually, Julian Hill. Hey, Julian.
Hey, Roz, it's good to see you. I'm Julian Hill. I'm an ICF certified spiritual life and business coach and human design specialist. And I help people who feel a deep spiritual calling and want to answer that. And by doing so, change the world.
Life changers, world changers over here. So listen, if you guys didn't catch last episode, a couple of weeks ago, Julian and I made the announcement that we have shortened these lives just because we value our time, we value your time, and we want to make these quick hits, quick, insightful lives that you can carry with you, and you ain't got to be sitting around all day. A whole hour doing this. And so time is valuable. I know it's a construct, but time is valuable. So we are going to be shortening these lives to 30 minutes and let you get on back to your day. So today, y'all, we are going to be continuing our conversation around fear. We are going to learn today how to use fear, because I don't think that we understand that it can be a tool that can catapult us into higher frequency, a better life, the life that we want. And we don't have to allow it to, make us stuck and get us stuck in other situations that cause us pain and suffering. So we're going to learn how to get out of this stuff. We're going to learn how to turn it around and use it for our benefit. So Julian, you want to kick us off with some thoughts that you had around fear?
Wow. Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And, we talked a lot last time about how fear really serves a purpose to call our attention to things, to places that we're out of alignment, to things that maybe we're doing wrong. And I gave an example of business and marketing. And if you're really pushing and forcing and feel like you've constantly got to be in people's face to sell your product, maybe there's something wrong with your product, or you don't understand your target market. And so fear does a lot of those things, calls our attention. But then once it calls our attention to that, we have a choice to make. We can either stay stuck and stay stagnant. We can feel the fear and be like, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid, and allow it to hold us back. Or we can face that fear and move through it. And moving through it is really kind of an exciting process, because when you move through your fear and then you achieve something on the other side of that fear, the exhilaration and the excitement that we feel is something that it's just really hard to describe until you experience it. And it helps carry you to the next big challenge. It moves you through. I mean, it's sort of like getting on a big roller coaster, right? You're kind of afraid at the beginning and you talk yourself into it and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then that car is climbing that hill and you're like, oh shit, I really shouldn't have gotten on this. Let me off of this thing. And then you go through the ride, you're terrified the whole time, but you step off it and you're like, woo, that was so thrilling. I can't wait to do that again, right? And you go get back in line because it's just so exciting. And so you can use fear in that way in your life to feel more alive, right? Fear, when we feel fear and we move through it and we conquer it and we achieve something amazing, we feel alive. It brings excitement to our lives.
Yeah, most definitely. And as you were talking about that, you were using the example of a roller coaster, but what came to mind was something that's like very present for me in that um I having hard conversations, like bringing it down just a little bit to everyday life. And we are at a time where we're gonna have to start having hard conversations, and we can have conversations that are difficult, in context and in topic with people that we love, or people that we might not want to be in relationship with anymore, right? And so I've been working with a couple of clients, and fear has been a huge theme that has come up with two of these clients. And once you recognize and just acknowledge the fact that I'm scared, I'm afraid, and like give it life and give it air, yes, you're going to feel that adrenaline rush. You might even freeze up, but to be able to talk through that fear and what it's about, and dig a little deeper and understand where it comes from, you'll find that with fear, it's a surface emotion that we're experiencing. And and when you decide to work through it, you'll see that when you have the hard conversation, when you know make a change in your actions and your behavior, you can come out stronger on the other side. You can like sift through and tease out and get to the confidence, the self-assurance, the authenticity that you have been using fear as a cover to hide who you really are, right? Just like Julian was talking about getting on the roller coaster, even scared, like drop zone for me was like the roller coaster for me that's like won't make me shit my pants. But I still, my love of roller coasters still pushed me to get on the ride, even though I knew I could probably die. I've seen commercials where people, or news reports where we have gotten on those types of rides and have, not made it out alive. I still wanted to do it. And my fear would tell me, girl, don't get on it. You saw what happened on the news. Yeah, I went ahead and did it. And when I did it, I did feel exhilarated. I did feel energized. And it's the same thing with doing hard things in life, where if you could just take one small step into the fear, another one, another one, you'll be past the fear, and you'll be able to do what it is that needs to be done and feel good about yourself, and feel like a big girl or feel like a big boy, because fear is, and I say it like that because we have been taught to be afraid. We have been taught to use fear to not not challenge ourselves, or not further our station in life, or further our goals, or move forward in our goals. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying about feeling the exhilaration of it all. And that applies to not just roller coasters, but everyday life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to revisit something you said there about it being a surface feeling or emotion, because in human design, fear is generated in the splenic center as part of our survival instinct, because fear is an evolutionary instinct. It's an evolutionary emotion that was meant to keep us safe, to help us survive. And it served a really great purpose when we had to be worried about other things eating us, or falling off a cliff while we're hunting. But most of our modern problems that we feel fear about, get it showing up on video on social media, people laughing at you because you said the wrong thing or wore the wrong thing or whatever. None of those are really survival things. Like, someone doesn't like your video on social media. Is it going to kill you? Absolutely not. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's going to piss you off, but it is absolutely not going to kill you. It is not a survival thing. And so I think one step we need to take when we're feeling that fear, we're allowing it to hold us back, because often that's what we do. We wallow in that fear, and we allow it to take the joy out of our life, and allow it to keep us from doing new things that we want to do, and new experiences that we want to experience. And so when we're feeling that, one of the things we need to ask ourselves is, what's going to happen if I go do this and it doesn't work out, right? Is it going to end my life? Is it going to destroy me? No, absolutely not. It's not. People laugh at you on social media. Big deal. Did it kill you? No. So we need to put fear back into the right perspective. Is this actually a survival thing, or is it just kind of a surface thing that we can dismiss because we let it hold us back too much?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say take it too seriously, because like there are real fears out there. Like people fear for their lives. Like it's survival fear, right? But just like you said, stuff like what's happening on social media, you don't, you feel embarrassed or whatever. And I think that's part of what fear can do for us, is that once we've admitted and acknowledged what's really going on with us, and that we're scared and we're afraid and we're embarrassed and on and on and on, it gives way to some self-compassion, and we don't have to be so critical of ourselves and accept other people's criticism as our own, when it's really theirs. Like it's a projection, let's be honest. It's a projection, right? And so acknowledging that we're fearful and that we're afraid, it can cultivate self-compassion, because whether you want to admit it or not, we all engage in negative self-talk. We engage it, like if you listen, if you like gossip the way I do, I'm telling y'all my whole business right now. If y'all like gossip the way I do, then 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, that is a reflection of the conversations that you are having with yourself about yourself. And so when you dig up underneath it, like, why am I being so critical of this person? It's because I don't feel adequate. See, there's that scarcity mindset again. So under the fear, if you let yourself get to it, there can be a soft place to land, where you can become more self-compassionate, give yourself some grace, understand that this was taught to me. This is what I learned as a child. This is what was reinforced to me as an adult. And I don't have to be this way towards myself, and I don't have to project that out on other people. Now I might still, I like to hear tea, so I might not never get over that. I like a nice hot piping tea. It's just it's entertaining to me, and I like it. Okay. Don't judge me, judge your mama. Okay. So, but let's just have more grace. Let's figure out how to use the emotion of fear, and learn how to give ourselves just some more grace and some more self-compassion, and talk and be sweet to ourselves. Talk nicely to yourself a little bit more. You might not see the world so critically if you do, right? I hope.
Yeah, I think another important thing to consider is looking at your human design, because
Hmm.
there's energetic conditioning that happens. And the splenic center, as I mentioned, is the source of our survival fears: the fear of failure, the fear of the future, fear of rejection. All of those sort of core fears that a lot of us experience happen in our splenic center. And if you haven't undefined or open splenic center, then you're going to feel conditioning when you're around other people with a defined one, which sometimes can amplify those fears. So that's something to keep in mind, is asking yourself, like, is this even my fear? Because, I know when I was younger and still lived at home, my father is very fearful of rejection and failure. Like, he's all about appearances. And I was really afraid of that, like of looking bad or being embarrassed or those things. But after I kind of worked through that, and I really realized those weren't my fears, I could let go of those and move through them. So taking that moment to really get clear on whose fear am I feeling and am I acting out. And the second piece that I think human design really brings to how we learn to use fear is human design teaches us that the mind is not the authority. And when we feel fear, what's the first thing we do? We start to conjure up mental images of all the worst things that can happen. And so getting out of the head and getting with the breath, getting back into the body, because oftentimes we drop into the body and we find out, I'm really not feeling as much fear as I thought I was feeling. But what happened is we let our mind run away with the fear and show us all the worst possible case scenarios. And we got all wrapped up in that. And we allowed our mind to take that fear and really inflate it into a much bigger thing than it is. So coming back to the breath, getting into the present moment by focusing on the breath and then using the breath to drop us into our body and really feel, where are we feeling that fear in the body? Because sometimes we may not even be feeling it in the body. It may totally be a mental thing, and we can release that fear and its hold on us by dropping back into the body.
Definitely. The body is where the truth is what I was thinking when you were talking about dropping um out of the head and into the body. A lot of times I feel like we create evidence that will support this fear of ours. Um False evidence actually that doesn't hold truth in our energetic body, in our in our root, in our splenic center, in our solar plexus, in our energy, right? In our aura, right? And so again, like you said, getting into the body, first of all, breathing helps you just get present and get present right now and not in some scenario that you created that isn't even happening, that you think is going to happen down the road, or it being in the head puts you in the past where this has already happened. This is not happening today. You are not experiencing this right now. So really getting into the body and really engaging in some healing practices that will realign and rebalance your energy and kind of move. If you are feeling anything in your body, move that stuff around, because what dense energy tends to do, it tends to either not move or move slowly. And you want that energy to be moving from your head and through your body and out, right? So the body is key in learning how to deal with fear, how to use fear. Get out of your head. Get out of your mind. Like the song says, you have to get out of your mind and stop creating these scenarios that either have already happened, not happening right now, or you think are going to happen later down the road, that like you can't be over there. You can't be in the future right now and here too. Get in the body. Feel what's going on in the body. And I like what you said, Julian, about if you're not feeling fear in your body, if you're not feeling tightness and trembling and all of this stuff, it might not be true. What you're thinking is probably not true. There's probably it can't hold water. So you have to test the validity of your fear and check in with the body. So I like that you said that, and I just wanted to add on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I just think getting present, and I love that you mentioned how the breath brings us back to the present moment, where we actually have the power to conquer that fear instead of allowing us to be in the future in some like disaster scenario where everyone laughed at us and it caused our business to fail or whatever because we made a crummy video. Like, because we blow this stuff up to be bigger than it is. I think the other thing about learning to use fear is fear should be motivational. And what I mean by that is, we've seen in the news, there's some layoffs going on, and people start to feel fear in their job about how secure they're going to be. Well, nobody wants to do that. And what we need to do is ask ourselves, why am I feeling that fear? What is it about my work environment that I feel like my employer doesn't value my contribution enough, or that my employer hired more people than they could afford to pay, or whatever? Maybe that's the time. Maybe you've been unhappy at that job and you've been thinking about leaving for a while. Use that fear to motivate you to really examine your situation and make the changes you need to make. Because a lot of times, we're sitting there holding that fear about, am I going to be in the next round of layoffs? And like, why are you there in the first place? So I think that's really important, that we let that fear call to attention We talked about fear raising awareness last time, but now, like, use that fear to create action, create an action plan and get beyond that. Take that awareness that the fear has created, and awareness does you no good if you don't act on it. So take that fear and move forward with it. Leave that job, start your own business, do something else. And the other thing about fear is it is often used in power over, which I first heard about this in Starhawk's book, Dreaming in the Dark, in which she talks about power over, which is sort of our police state type of hierarchy structure that we have, where there's power over. And that power over is reinforced by fear, by creating fear. The company, corporations have power over you because you fear that you're going to lose your job and not be able to pay your house payment or put food on your table or take care of your family. The police have fear, there's fear about being stopped if you're speeding and getting a ticket, or worse. There's fear that if you don't pay your taxes, there's all this fear. Even marketers use it, that you're not going to fit in or be one of the pretty people if you don't use the right toothpaste or you don't buy this product. And that all comes from power over. And so when we're feeling that fear, that's the manipulative type of fear that's coming from political campaigns, marketing campaigns, corporations, jobs, we need to transform that. We need to go back to, how do we get out of this power over mode of operating and shift into power from within? How do I move to that where I see people as my equals and we're all operating from power within, where we're sharing power and we're using power in an equitable way? Because power within doesn't need fear to manipulate and control people, because when you have power from within, there's no need for that. Everybody is their own being and their own individual, and we don't need to have that power over. We can release the fear as a result of that.
Amen to that. In addition to that, you talked about fear being a motivator, but also, and I had this just yesterday with a client where she's interested in starting her own business or starting her own practice. And she's afraid of the kind of clients that she'll get. And she's afraid that she won't have enough time. And, all of these fears started to come up. And I said to her, why can't we use this fear to get clear on what it is that we want? So you can use fear to get clarity in what it is you truly desire, instead of seeing it all come at you and say, you can't have this or you have to do this, and kind of stop clenching down on the things that we want and start to emanate or ruminate or emit clarity to the universe about what it is that we want, so that we can receive exactly what it is that we want. So if you don't want, if you're afraid that you are going to get a specific thing in your manifestation process, well, get clear. Use that fear to get clear about what you don't want or what you do want, and start to put that out there. So fear as a clarifier is a good way to clean up some of the energetics around manifesting and calling in what you want, and motivating you to get clear on what action to take next as well. So try that and see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely think that fear should refocus us and get us really, like, zeroed in on what it is that we're wanting and what we're doing.
All right, I think we're almost time to wrap this thing up. So, Julian, you want to share with the audience what you have for them, what your offerings are?
Absolutely. So you can work with me in one-on-one coaching. I do both spiritual life coaching. So for people who are trying to find their spiritual calling, thinking about jobs that aren't working and wanting to maybe find more purpose in their work, I can help you through all of those blocks, including all of the fear that comes up around that. I also work with spiritual entrepreneurs in their business and just finding ways. I'm not the kind of coach that's going to tell you how to market and the minutia of how to make a YouTube video, but I am going to help you with the energetic and the mindset things, the imposter syndrome, the false beliefs, all of that, and help you get clear on where you want to go in your business so that you can be successful. I also, through queerspirituality.net, work with gay and bi men who want to live a more fulfilled, well-rounded life, or those who are just starting their coming out process and are struggling with that. So you can find me at www.priesthofanana.com and, of course, at www.queerspirituality.net.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Before I share my offerings with everybody, I do want to make one more point around fear, and that it is okay to use fear to seek support. Like I know, listen, it is hard to be going through a hard time by yourself, and I'm talking about what I have experienced myself, right? It's very hard to be dealing with challenging situations and be feeling fear all alone. And so if you are afraid, find one person that you can trust to share what's going on with yourself, so that you can, for one, like, get it on the outside of you. Talk about it and get it on the outside of you, and start to seek support, whether that's from a trusted family member or friend, or a therapist. If you're still a member of the church, maybe somebody at your church can help you, and even a coach. Like, why y'all think we sitting up here? Like, there are qualified coaches sitting right here in front of you that are here to help you through your fear, at whatever level it is for you. And so for me, as I mentioned before, I particularly help women of color who want to take their power back from that fear and move forward in life and be authentic and be real and own their truth, and not have to be hiding under it and apologizing for who they really are and apologizing for their truth. And so with that, I have a spiritual life coaching program, Empowerment Private Coaching. It's a 6-month program. You get 18 sessions with that. You also get a couple of bonuses where we do energy healing, and I also give you an intuitive reading at the end of the program to help you get some clarity about how to move forward when our work is done together. And so right now I am taking applications and calls, clarity and alignment calls for that through March, and I am looking for at least 4 more people to work with on that. And so if that calls out to you, please do visit my website, www.rozkincaid.com, to book a clarity and alignment call, or just go there to the one-on-one coaching page and learn about what this program is, because it is high time for us to stop using fear as an excuse for being great. Like, you're already great. It's time to start acting like it. And acting like it is one of the key pieces in the framework that I have to get you through that and to help you start being exactly who you are, because she's ready to come out to the public.
Yeah, nice. So we won't be having a show on March 10th. So our normal next show won't be happening because I'm taking a vacation. So Roz and I will be back on Friday, the March 24th at noon Eastern time. And next time we will be talking about Say What You Mean. So we're going to talk about how to have some of those difficult conversations, how to really focus on what matters and just say what you mean. So definitely join us for that. I think it's going to be great. So everyone, have an amazing weekend, and we hope that you enjoyed this broadcasting, got some good tips on how to learn to use your fear to benefit you. Bye now.
Absolutely. Bye.
This has been the Soul Expansion Soundboard. Join us live every other Friday.